Hello, everyone. I'm Renown Zero, and we are back again talking about Disney attempting to dismiss Gina Carano's wrongful termination lawsuit and argues that the First Amendment, quote, provides a complete defense against the Mandalorian actress's claims, which I think is absolute garbage because that would mean that she should be able to use her First Amendment right to say whatever she wants on Twitter or wherever, any social media platform, unless, of course, there's a clause stating otherwise. So this is absolute nonsense coming to us from Bounding in the Comics. In offering their first official response to former The Mandalorian actress Gina Carano's wrongful termination lawsuit, Disney has moved to dismiss her legal action on the grounds that, in their opinion, the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution provides them the, quote, right to disassociate its own artistic message from Carano's outspoken political beliefs, which, again, she is allowed with the First Amendment then to speak her mind on her political beliefs. As previously reported, thanks to financial and legal assistance from Tesla company founder Elon Musk, the former Cara Dune actress first announced her intent to take the House of Mouse and its subsidiary studio to court. The full filing, which can be read here, on February 6th via a lengthy post made to her official Twitter account. Quote, after my 20 years of building a career from scratch and during the regime of former Disney CEO Bob Chapek, Lucasfilm made this statement on Twitter, terminating me from The Mandalorian. Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm, and there are no plans for her to be in the future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their culture and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. Recap the actress of the chain of events which led to her being completely excised from the Star Wars franchise. You can read the long tweet there. Quote, nothing could be further from the truth, she countered. The truth is I was being hunted down from everything I posted to every post I liked because I was not in line with the acceptable narrative of the time, which is leftist ideology. My words were consistently twisted to demonize and dehumanize me as an alt-right wing extremist. Anyone who's not on the left is automatically right wing. It was a bullying smear campaign aimed at silencing, destroying, and making an example out of me. Look with your own eyes at what I posted seen below and ask yourself, for example, where did I compare Republicans to the Jewish people in the Holocaust? She didn't. They just misconstrued that because people on the internet are dumb. Carano asked of the public, I didn't. Ask yourself, why were they calling me a racist when was there any merit behind that or history of it whatsoever? No. It says here, Jews were beaten in the streets not by Yahtzee soldiers but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Yahtzee soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? Basically saying that their own neighbors would turn them into the Yahtzees. That was the whole thing. She was saying that with the whole COOF stuff and the pandemic, that don't be like these people are turning your neighbors because they decide to have a different opinion or decide to not get a medical procedure, the jab, that you decided to get. Quote, look at why I was called a transphobe for making droid noises from Star Wars. She further invited Beep Bop Boo, seen below, was obviously directed to the online bullies and did not in any way denigrate trans people. But of course, they'll see it differently because pronouns in bio. Quote, Hollywood says they support female representation and equal rights. The actors continue. Why then were my male co-stars permitted to speak without harassment and re-education courses or termination? An ostensible reference to the Mandalorian star Pedro Pascal's own post-election behavior online, where he called anyone who supported Trump a Yahtzee, but I was not afforded the same right to exercise my freedom of speech. Artists do not sign away our rights as American citizens when we enter into employment, she added. I have spoken to all my co-stars since I was fired, and there's nothing but care and kind words between us. I respect their right to free speech, and I do not have to think the same on every issue to be their friends and work with them, and I know they feel the same way towards me. But this was the post that Pedro Pascal, of course, put out in 2020. Losers in 1865, Confederates, losers in 1945, Yahtzees, and losers in 2020 were MAGA wearing Trump supporters, I guess, because that's definitely a great comparison. People that have deleted people in the past versus people who just have, basic rights or voting for a person they like. Yeah, that's definitely the same thing, you clown. But of course, he gets more work, like playing Reed Richards in Fantastic Four, but it's beside the point. Interestingly, it is the same constitutional American right to free speech that Disney has pointed to in defense of their cutting ties with Carano. Filing a motion to dismiss Carano's lawsuit on April 9th, the House of Mouse's attorneys argued that, quote, Disney has a constitutional right not to associate its artistic expression with Carano's speech, such that the First Amendment provides a complete defense to Carano's claims. But again, The same First Amendment should be afforded to Gina Carano for her to say what she likes on the internet. Unless, of course, there's a clause where you're not allowed to be political on your personal account. As Carano's own fame rose with her characters, which Cara Dune was an excellent female character, how to properly write a female character, unlike most female characters that are insufferable girl bosses that don't need no man. Cara Dune was the example of how to correctly and perfectly write a female character that people can like and get behind. Carano began engaging with show fans and the public in a manner that, in Disney's view, came to distract from and undermine Disney's own expressive efforts. Recap Disney of their side of the story. Carano's decision to publicly trivialize the Holocaust by comparing criticism of political conservatives to the annihilation of millions of Jewish people, notably not thousands, was the final straw for Disney, which, again, you saw was something she did not do. Carano's claims are all barred by the First Amendment, they then asserted. As the Supreme Court held in Hurley versus Irish American Gay, Lesbian, and Bisexual Group of Boston, the First Amendment embodies a core principle of speaker's autonomy that bars the state from dictating to expressive enterprises what to say, how to say it, and whom to say it through. As the court further held in Boy Scouts of America versus Dale, that principle means that a state cannot force an employer engaged in speech to speak through an employee whose own views or public profile could compromise the employer's own message, even if the employer does not express their views on the job. To this end, Disney then affirmed, quote, state law can protect employee political activity without violating the employer's free speech rights. This quotation being cited from the 2012 paper by UCLA law professor and constitutional attorney Eugene Volokh. What state law cannot do, however, is force entities that do create speech products to speak through writers or singers or actors whose own speech and public profile could, in the employee's view, compromise the employer's ability to express itself in its own chosen manner, they declared. Carano's suit contravenes that rule. It is an impermissible effort to invoke state power to override a private entity's decisions about what to say in its own art and how to say it. The complaint should be dismissed. Drawing their argument to a close, Disney ultimately posited that the First Amendment protects Disney's decision to disassociate from itself from some speech, but not from other different speech. Again, dismissing conservatives or right-wing versus leftists, because most of Hollywood is infected with leftists, and they're only allowed to have one point of view. Carano evidently believes the other actors' statements were sufficiently similar to hers to warrant identical concern from Disney, but under the rule of speaker's autonomy, that determination is not for her or a jury to make, they explained. Rather, the First Amendment mandates deference to the speaker's own decisions about what speech to associate with, even if others might consider those decisions internally inconsistent. This quotation being cited from the aforementioned Supreme Court division in Boy Scouts America versus Dale. Carano thus cannot stake out a discrimination claim by alleging that Disney accorded different treatment to different statements by different actors. Oh yeah, she should be able to. So one person could be political on their account, but she can't. As of writing, the U.S. Central District Court of California judge overseeing the case, the Honorable Sherilyn Peace Garnett, has yet to rule on Disney's request. So this is going to be a developing story of a back and forth case between Gina Carano's wrongful termination versus Disney. I'm going to see how it all works out and how it's all planned out. Being supposedly paid for by Elon Musk, of course, because he is all about that free speech to some extent, because not all speech for him is free on his own platform, even though he proclaims that it all is. But we're going to see how this all works out. It's really interesting how Disney wants to invoke their First Amendment rights against Gina Carano, but yet doesn't have that same energy towards Pedro Pascal, who actually said something way worse. Actually, worse than anything Gina Carano put out there, because nothing she really put out there was terrible. What he put out there with something like this is absolutely disgusting, but they had nothing to say about that, of course, because it's the right form of speech that Disney is in line with. So I thank you all for checking out this video. I really do appreciate all the new subscribers, returning subscribers, new viewers, returning viewers. If you do like this video, hit the like button, comment below what you feel about all this, subscribe for more content, hit the bell for notifications, set the bell to all. That way you'll get a notification anytime I post a new video or live stream, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.